And hi class. So, short video lang no para sa lesson natin this week. Simplifying rational expressions. Try ko na lang din i-discuss sa inyo ng mabilis yung lesson na nakasulat sa course pack natin. Then, pwede nyo sagutan on your own yung mga practice exercises na nakalagay dito sa course pack and dun sa supplementary materials na makikita natin sa uh, study schedule natin or sa course calendar natin. Ayan. So, simulan ko na. Um, simplifying rational expressions. So, pag sinabi nating rational expressions, kung naaalala natin nung grade school tayo or nung elementary tayo, yung rational numbers, basically sila yung mga numbers na kaya natin na i-express as a ratio between two integers. Short fraction. So, pag sinabing yung isang number ay rational number, ibig sabihin, kaya siyang i-express as fractions. And sa context natin ngayon sa intermediate algebra sa math 8A, pag sinabing rational expressions, so basically it's a fraction expressed using variables sa numerator and denominator or as polynomials, di ba? Madalas natin na nakikitang expressions. So, para mag-simplify ng rational expressions, similar lang din yung ating technique or yung process natin katulad sa pag-simplify ng mga rational numbers natin or ng mga fractions natin. So, yung makikitang example sa course guide, 12/18, no? So, sulat ko lang, 12/18. So, yung 12/18, it's a rational number. Rational expression din siya, yan. Isi-simplify natin siya. And usually, ang technique natin, yung ginagawa nating steps to simplify fractions ay hanapin yung greatest common factor. Or in essence, naghahanap tayo ng mga common factors between 12 and 18. Tapos, kina-cancel out lang natin sila. Since in-expect ko sobrang familiar na rin tayo sa mga numbers at this point, no? 12 and 18, makikita natin na common factor nila agad ay 6 because 12 can be rewritten as 6 times 2 and si 18 naman 6 times 3. So, greatest common factor ni 12 and 18 ay 6. And then, since na-express natin si 12 and 18 as factors, hahanapin na lang natin yung common factors between the numerator and the denominator, which is obviously 6. So, we can cancel them out and then, pero technically, nagiging 1 sila, di ba? Kasi parang 6 divided by 6. So, 1. Kasi simplify na natin yung expression. So, it turns out na yung numerator na lang ay 1 times 2, which is 2. Then, 1 times 3, 3. Kaya, nagkaroon din tayo na parang quote-unquote shortcut kasi napag-cancel ng mga common factors. So, since common factor again ay 6 na, kina-cancel lang sila. Then, we are left with 2/3. Since na-cancel na natin yung greatest common factor between 12 and 18, sure na tayo na simplified na yung ating rational expression na 2/3. So, ang simplified form ni 12/18 ay 2/3. Notice sa course pack, ang technique naman na approach na ginawa sa course pack ay ginawang nilist down yung prime factors ni 12. So, 2 times 2 times 3. Ganun din with 18, which is 2 times 3 times 3. So, effective din na method ito kasi na-exhaust mo na lahat yung common factors. Kasi nakasulat yung mga factors ni 12 as prime factors. Yeah, 2 times 2 times 3. So, 18, 2 times 3 times 3. So, madali natin makikita agad lahat ng common factors. So, common factor si 2 and then common factor si 3. So, similar lang naman din yung magiging sagot, of course. We are left with 2 sa numerator and 3 sa denominator. Therefore, you still have 2/3. So, either approach is okay. In reality, sa tingin ko, isa sa mga effective ways of simplifying rational expressions ay mag-cancel out lang na mag-cancel out ng nakikita nating common factors until masigurado natin na wala ng common factors at all. Once na nakita natin na wala ng common factor, of course, other than 1, simplified na yung ating expression. Ayan. So, proceed tayo sa next example. We have x to the 4th yz over x squared y cubed z. So, sa example na to, sa rational expression of variables na yung ginagamit to express numbers, dapat easily nating na-identify na monomials sila, di ba? Monomials. Ayan. Isa lang kasi yung term natin. X fourth y z and then x cube y cube z. So, I'm sure familiar naman na kayo sa laws of exponents and sa concept ng exponents. No? X to the 4th means you have to multiply x 4 times. So, x times x times x. And then times y times z. So, lahat sila ay nakamultiply na. All variables are in multiplication or multiplied with one another. So, factors sila. And then you have x squared, so x times x. Y cubed, y times y times y, and then you have your z. So, similar lang din sa process ng pag-simplify ng fractions, katulad ng previous example natin, kina-cancel out lang din natin yung mga common factors. And, tandaan, factors sila kasi notice na yung operation natin ay multiplication. So, cancel out x, cancel out x. Common kasi sila sa numerator and denominator, di ba? Cancel out y and then cancel out z. Notice what we are left with are 2 x's. So, x times x, that's just x squared. And then, 2 y's, y times y. So, that's y squared. So, consistent naman yung nakuha nating sagot sa course pack. And so, paki-recall na lang din yung laws of exponents natin. So, if we have another way to approach the problem ay x to the 4 tapos yung nasa denominator ay x squared. So, we can rewrite that as x to the 4 minus 2. Again, that's the laws of exponent, di ba? One of the laws of exponent. If you have the same base and then division yung kanilang operation, isusubtract lang natin yung kanilang exponents. So, numerator minus the denominator. And then you have your y. So, exponent ng y sa numerator ay 1. And then you have 3 sa denominator. So, 1 minus 3. And then you have your z, which are both 1, yung exponents. So, yung fraction natin or yung expression natin na to, you can rewrite as this one, second step. And then simplifying it further, you have x squared, y to the negative 2, and then z raised to 0. Dapat familiar na tayo na any number raised to 0 except 0 is equal to 1. So, nagiging 1 lang to. It's just 1. And then, one of the laws of exponents pa rin na if you have a negative exponent, you can rewrite that as 1 over with the same base and then positive na yung exponent. So, we can rewrite this as x squared. And then, notice na yung y to the negative 2, I can rewrite that as 1 over y squared. Kaya siya napupunta sa baba. So, notice na naging positive na yung kanyang exponent. Ayan. So, consistent pa rin yung answer natin sa course pack and then sa first method na ginawa natin. So, you can either use the laws of exponents to simplify the expression or pwede pa rin yung technique na i-identify na lang yung mga common factors pa rin and then canceling them out. Personally, mas efficient siguro yung second method kasi mas mabilis mag-subtract na lang ng exponents, no? versus kung i-rewrite mo pa yung expression into smaller factors pa. Isa-isa pa silang isusulat. But either way is effective. So minsan kung yung tests natin pressed for time tayo, better kung familiar kayo dun sa second method, which is yung sa loss of exponent. Ayan. Next, what if ganito yung ating rational expression or yung ating rational number? X over x squared minus x. Notice na yung ating denominator, hindi siya multiplication, no? Yung relationship ni x squared and x, di ba? In fact, it's subtraction. And dapat mabilis nating mabilis nating madidetect na binomial siya, di ba? It's not a monomial unlike the previous example. It's a binomial. We have two terms, x squared and negative x. And then yung nasa taas naman, it's a monomial. So hindi natin basta-basta naka-cancel out yung x kasi they are not factors. Hindi natin pwedeng gawing cancel out to, tas cancel out to. Yan, cancel out yan. Hindi pwede yun kasi yung ating denominator ay hindi factors. Separated sila by plus or minus and therefore it's a term. Kung naalala natin yung definition natin last meeting, yung denominator natin ngayon ay may two terms and therefore it's a binomial. So we have to express it in terms of factors. Doon papasok yung ni-review natin last time na pag-factoring ng mga polynomials natin. So bago natin ma-cancel out yung mga common factors ng numerator and denominator, kailangan muna natin ma-factor out or gawing factored form yung ating denominator because it's a binomial and it's not yet factored. So equal sign. So yung ating numerator, wala na tayong kailangan i-factor dyan. It's a monomial, single term lang siya. So kailangan natin ma-factor out yung denominator. And one way to factor out the denominator, yung pagkuha ng common monomial factor, di ba? Yung common dun sa bawat term. And notice, sa bawat term, we have x. So we can factor out x. So, lagay lang ako ng arrows to signify yung pag-factor out, di ba? Parang ipa-factor out mo pareho yung x. Ayan. So, once na nailabas mo na si x, ayan, ang matitira dun sa first term ay isang x na lang. Ayan. And then, yung sa second term, natanggal yung nag-iisang x, so you are left with 1. You can double check the factored form by multiplying by distributing x again. Again, reverse operations lang sila, di ba? Factoring out and then factoring in or i-expand mo ulit yung factored form. So x times x, you get x squared, and x times negative 1, you get negative x. So I hope malinaw yun, no? Yung pag-reverse at saka yung pagbalik ng factors. Once na in factored form na yung ating denominator, notice na in factored form na siya kasi you have x and x minus 1 as factors. Notice na yung operation between the two ay multiplication. So, factored form na siya. So, now, you can cancel out common factors between the numerator and denominator. So, notice na may common factor sila which is x. Tanggal yung x sa numerator, tanggal yung x sa denominator. And now, you are left with 1 sa numerator. Again, once na nagka-cancel out sila, nagiging 1 lang sila. We're left with 1. Wala nang ibang factors sa numerator other than that. And then you're left with x minus 1 sa denominator. Therefore, the simplified expression for x over x squared minus x is 1 over x minus 1. Di pa lang napakita dito yung solutions, no? And there, 1 minus x squared. Yun. Very important yun, no? Hindi ko na explain yung part na to ng course. Pinaka-importante lang na ma-pick up natin dito ay make sure na huwag kayong magka-cancel basta-basta ng mga nakikita niyo parang common between the numerator and denominator. Make sure na naka-factored form both the numerator and the denominator before you can cancel out common factors. Again, hindi pa naka-factored form si x squared minus x. Ayan. Kasi, hindi naman multiplication, no, yung operation between x squared and negative x. Kaya siya binomial nga kasi separated sila ng plus or minus. They are terms. So, last example na siguro, x squared minus 4 and x squared plus 5x plus 6. So, dapat mabilis natin ma-identify na hindi pa sila factored form and therefore we cannot just cancel out anything common between the two of them right now, yung between the numerator and the denominator. Ayan. So, kailangan natin kailangan muna natin gawing factored form both numerator and denominator. And based dun sa review natin last time, dapat ma-pick up natin agad na yung numerator natin ay isang difference of two squares. It's a difference of two squares. And dapat mabilis na natin siyang ma-simplify, maka-factor into x minus 2 times x plus 2 as discussed last time. And then, yung ating denominator, it's a trinomial. Yan. It has 3 terms, no? X squared, plus 5x, and plus 6. And trinomials na ganitong form, dapat kaya na natin siyang ma-identify agad na ma-factor siya into something like this, di ba? And then, based dun sa review natin last time, yung terms ng mga binomials na to ay factors ni 6 nung last term ng ating trinomial, and then yung sum ng dalawang terms na to ay yung coefficient ng second term. Right. So if we have enough practice and kung medyo familiar na tayo dun sa numbers, of course, we can easily identify the last two terms to be 2 and 3. 2 times 3, 6, and then 2 plus 3 equals 5. So, kaya importante na well-practiced tayo for factoring trinomials and identifying special products like difference of two squares. So, the process again is still the same. Naka-factored form na yung ating expression. Once the factored form na siya, we can cancel out common factors. Ayun naman yung ating process. So, notice na x plus 2 and then meron tayong x plus 2 rin sa denominator. They can easily cancel out. So, ang matitira na lang sa atin ay x minus 2 and x plus 2. And then, since wala nang other factors na common, that's your simplified expression. So the simplified expression for x squared minus 4 all over x squared plus 5x plus 6 is x minus 2 over x plus 3. So you have these practice exercises sa course pack. Please answer them. And of course, may mga other complicated pang trinomials, no? Like sa number 4, notice na yung denominator natin, 2x squared minus 11x plus 5. You just need to practice para ma-familiarize yung sarili niyo how to factor those trinomials. I'm sure na-try nyo na yan dapat no previous math course natin sa Math 7. If you have any questions, message lang ako or pasok lang kayo sa Zoom meeting natin for today. So thanks and see you sa Friday.